And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're going to be talking about Maximum Throwdown, which if you look at the cover of the box, which is really an okay cover, I guess, it emphasizes the cheesiness of everything that there is about nerdhood. But the game itself is actually about throwing cards, and everyone likes to throw cards. I mean, there's people who throw cards, I suppose, as a trick, and some people throw their cards when they're angry that they've lost a game, and some people try to throw them at a camera and never actually hit it. But again, kind of close. Anyway, that's the point of this game. Now, that might sound similar to another game called Flower Fall. In Flower Fall, you drop cards, and you try to get flowers grouping together. This one's different. You're throwing cards. You're one of many different factions. Let me show you how it's played, and we'll be back. At the beginning of the game, you're going to take some bases and put them on the table. Now, what I think is funny is the rules say you can place them like this, or you can do it like this, and you know what? I cannot tell you how much it does not matter. You just need to have cards on the table. I don't think it would matter if they were, in some weird direction. Each player is given a faction of cards then. You can take these cards here, shuffle them up, and give them to each person so they take one. Now, the factions themselves are different, but not different. There's a lot of cards. Like, for example, this card is not unique to the Dragons faction. It's in some other factions, but there's no other faction that has this exact same combo. Does that matter when you play the Dragons? Do you feel different than playing the Aliens, for example? I'm not really sure. Now, what you'll do on your turn is, the very first thing you do is any icons that are face up on the table. Let's say I have a card here, and it's already on there from a future turn. I will look at these icons that I can see. Now, as the game progresses, my cards and other people's cards will probably cover up icons as the game plays. So only icons that are completely unrevealed are going to work for me, but I'll be able to use your special abilities this turn. Also, at the beginning of each turn, I'm going to count the number of pips that I can see on my cards. So let's say this is the way the game looks at this point in time. I'm going to count pips. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and none there. So I have 12 pips. That gives me 2 points, because every 6 pips is worth 1 point, which means if this jerk covers up just one of my pips, then I'm going to have 11, and I'm only going to get 1 point. Now, points are how you win the game. Unfortunately, the game doesn't really have any kind of way to keep track of points. I suppose you can use anything. It's not like you're going to have tons of points or memorize them. So anyway, on your turn, the very first thing you'll do is you'll see what your icons let you do. Then you will get points. Then you'll attack and steal cards from our players. Then finally, you'll do the main action of the game, which is throwing. Now, how you throw a card is up to the table, really. You're not supposed to put it over the player, yeah? If people let you, can throw it here. When I play, I usually make people put their arm so that it's not over the table at any hand. And then you throw it. Now, if your card lands upside down, it's fine, but none of the icons will work. But the thing about this is, no matter what happens, your card must touch another card in play, which is why the game starts with these bases that are down there, because it will touch those. Doesn't matter if the card slides under a card or goes over the card, as long as that card is in play. And that's what you'll do on your turn. Now, what do these different icons mean? Well, this plus one here, you'll have a hand of cards at the beginning of the game. This one, when you on your turn, you're going to draw cards and then throw them. You'll draw 1 card every turn. This one lets you draw extra cards. The hand icon lets you throw an extra card. So if this was the only card that was face up, this will let me draw 2 cards and let me throw 2 cards. Instead of throwing an extra card, I can also use this icon for when I throw a card, and I can rethrow it. Immediately pick it up and rethrow it. This break symbol, what basically means if I throw a card that doesn't touch another card, and I have a break symbol in play, I can leave that card there and it's still in play and it's fine. This steal symbol here lets me take a card from someone else's pile, so I can draw maybe from the werewolf's pile, and then throw that card in the middle. Now I can throw that card face down, face up, it doesn't matter. And in fact, if it lands out of play, it just goes away. Some people, and I'm not pointing anyone out in particular, might throw the card as far away as from the table as they possibly can in a fit of spite. Or you might just try to throw it so that it covers up your opponent's icons, hopefully not your own. That's what Steal does. And then Attack, which is these swords here, lets you take the top card from someone else's deck and discard it. So the game will continue as people are attacking and stealing and throwing extra cards and trying to get as many of their pips on the top as possible until everyone's draw piles are exhausted, and then everyone will play out the cards in their hands. It's possible that all your cards are gone, but you still have a possibility of scoring points every time your turn comes up. So if you really are slow about throwing cards, you might be giving everyone else many points in their turns. Once all cards have been drawn and played, the game ends. Person with the most points is the winner. You do one last final scoring, add up all the points, you give them to the players. Whoever has most points wins. So that's that. I mean, you should be able to tell from my overview there whether or not that's for you just by how it is. For some people, throwing cards, you go, what? The idea of different factions, you know, you're going to either like throwing cards or not. Now, the game is reminiscent of AEG's other game, Smash Up. In fact, the artwork from this game is most definitely taken from multiple games, including Smash Up and Thunderstone and such. But the game itself is the different factions. Does it really matter whether you're using the dragons or the ninjas or the werewolves? I don't think it does. Sure, the cards are different and they have different combinations of icons, but it's not like, ooh, now the werewolves, you need to be careful how you throw. No, they're different, which is good. I don't mind the fact they're different because you have a card in your hand and I'm like, oh, I'm going to throw this card for whatever reason. But I don't sit there and go, werewolves are my favorite faction. I've played, I think, with every faction to this point, and I haven't really seen any difference. I picked them based on which the backings are. The game itself is pretty cool. The idea of using pips for points is cool, needing 6 of them, and that makes some of the dice that has 6, one that you really want to cover up. It's great because if you have a die with 6 on it, that's a point, and you throw it out there, you have a point. But also if it gets covered up, you've lost a point, while if you have a smattering of ones with 1 or 2 pips, if one of those gets covered up, no, not nearly as great of a loss for you, but at the same time, you got to get more out there to get points. The special actions are interesting. You think, why would getting rid of someone's discard pile, draw pile matter? The fewer cards they have to throw out. So you want to draw your cards as fast as you can before other people throw them out. The game certainly offers direct conflict. It's kind of interesting. I mentioned Flowerfall at the beginning. This is like the Euro game of dropping cards, and this is the American thematic version of it. Kind of confrontation, area control. In your face, cover up your cards, haha control. Sure, they both have interaction, and there is a difference. In this one, you're dropping cards, and if you play at Board Game Geek Convention, we drop them off a first story, off the second story, down with a silly game. I think I might have to do some kind of setup with maximum throwdown too, where you throw them across the street or something. But they're silly games, but I like them. I like the idea of throwing cards, but with strategy behind it, trying to land them on the table. And then again, it doesn't matter how good you are at your different things. If you can't throw, you're not going to do well. I probably talked about this game way longer than it needs to be talked about. Do you like to throw cards on the table? Then get maximum throwdown. You don't? Then get something else.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!